Hi cuties. So, Dragon's Dogma 2 is 100% a prime time contender for the Jeff Keighley Game of the Year award show ceremony, alongside Rebirth or whatever else shocks us this year. And controversy aside, the game brings a multitude of appreciable video gaming ideas, such as the new and improved pawn AIs, which by and large perform quite stellar, and even the vast open world for you to explore without much handholding, which I love. However, the game certainly has its flaws besides the whole DLC hibbity hoo blah, and I really want to get into that as well. Before I start digging in this game's ass crack though, let me just compliment it a bit because I really do like what I've played. To preface, I'm about 25 hours in, and I've completed quite a few quests, but not many main ones because I love to just explore RPGs like this and see what the world has to offer me. Comparing this game to the first, I love the fact that the enemies are a lot more randomized with larger scale as opposed to Dark Arisen, where there's repeated locations with the same enemies, yada yada yada. Dragon's Dogma 2 also is so beautiful, and with the update seemingly fixing some frame rate issues and allowing me to turn off motion blur, which I hate, and or ray tracing, has helped the performance overall, which I felt was decent enough before anyways, at least on PS5, because I know the PC homies might be suffering over there. I'm sorry. I went with the Thief Vocation simply because it reminded me of my Dark Arisen character, which was an assassin badassin, and I seriously love the combat choices and upgrade paths. I get to wield these two dope-ass daggers with a nice dodge, and I feel quicker than most of the enemies during fight scenarios where I pull up, mink, 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 then get out, and I love that. I personally can't say much about the story aspect, seeing as how I haven't fucking beat it yet, but I do believe intro-wise and just the overall presentation of Dragon's Dogma 2 is more easily accessible than the first, which really confused my stupid silly gamer pea-brain upon first playthrough. One of the most creative fun additions to me is Dragon's Plague, which is an incredible mechanic where your pawn gets the flu, but instead of coughing and puking, they destroy entire towns and slaughter all the inhabitants. Slight difference, I'm aware, but I just think it's cool because you can't ignore your pawns willy-nilly and just make them do as you please. You have to be a caring master. And although it may be annoying to some gamers, I personally don't mind the maximum health draining until you rest at a camp, because the new camping mechanic is another welcome addition where you get to see one of the coolest cooking animations I've ever seen in a video game due to the simplistic nature of just watching a nice slab of meat get cooked. Recipes in Dragon's Dogma 2 are really cool, and I didn't realize that they were there in the beginning, so I was like, bruh, I just gotta remember every single damn concoction to make a spaghetti health tonic, but I'm a dumbass. Now, positives out of the way, let's get into some of the biggest problems and gripes I have with this video game, which keep it from being a perfect 10 Jack the Rippers out of 10. Keep in mind, I really do like this game, and I still wouldn't even be mad if it won Game of the Year. I just think that for a $70 modern RPG, it's lacking in certain quality of life areas. Okay, fast travel. This is a very touchy subject for some, especially the director who feels like it demeans the exploration aspect of video games, but there are still some options like port crystals and ox carts. So, the ox carts are annoying due to them always having one set destination that you can't choose, and I know that there's certain ones for certain areas, but it's tiresome just sprinting from one place to the other, especially with nothing happening in between, or if you're getting bogged down by group after mob of enemies slowing you along the way. I just don't think it elicits much of a fun gameplay response. It just feels like mindless filler. And I know that certain Dragon's Dogma 1 purists are gonna be like, oh dude, it's by design, yada yada yada. Well, if that's the case, then I just don't like that design. Ox carts also waste in-game time, so if you need to do a time-sensitive quest, you must be wary of that as well, which I admit is more nitpicky, but I figured it deserved a mention as well. The other fast travel option is port crystals, where I've found 2 in my playthrough so far. This is by far the quicker, easier fast travel option, however it's seldom used due to the lack of fairy stones. You can buy these stones for 10k in-game cash, or possibly find them in chests and such. Even rarer, there's a chance that you could get a port crystal, but me personally, I still haven't found one of these some of my bitches, which is nuts. In my god honest Jack the Ripper correct opinion, I'm personally okay with limited fast travel, but I really do think that for major places of interest like the capital, you should be able to fast travel to them if you're at another big place of interest. The director, Hideaki Itsuno, said that they did fast travel this way to basically allow gamers to explore more and spend more time in their open world. And I promise you, pimp, I would have spent the same amount of time exploring even with a few more port crystals, dog. This is a very rage-induced topic on Twitter, and I feel bad because some people just want to like this game, but they feel like their time's being wasted by just playing the Death Stranding simulator sections. I love Death Stranding, by the way. However, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and or Tears of the Kingdom is a perfect example of this. I have hundreds of hours in those games, and while the fast travel options are more plentiful than something you'd find in DD2, I still explored the everlasting shit out of every inch of those games because it's just fun. And Dragon's Dogma 2 is fun, and I would love to explore the open world with a simple convenience factor of feeling like my time is slightly more respected by maybe just allowing easier fast travel. Not to mention, it's pretty scummy to sell a fast travel option for $3, then go on an interview and say it's for the good of the gamer. Like, come on, dog. I'll give Itsuno benefit of the doubt and assume the DLC items are all Capcom's doing, and I'll keep it pushing. The hand crank sections in the second part of the game could be considered fast travel as well, and my friends are telling me that they're incredibly frustrating to navigate with due to constantly being destroyed by griffins, and then you gotta continuously run back and forth, yada yada, you get the picture. I honestly don't want to harp on the fast travel critiques for too long, and I know that some may disagree and say it's a skill issue, and I would honestly like to hear what you gotta say on that, so comment down below. I have a few other small nitpicky critiques, like the market's giving you great armor pieces that are easily purchased at the beginning of the game, which is a certainly odd choice. Rarely do I find armor for my character to wear specifically in regular exploration, but I was able to get fully kitted for like 10k right at the start, so yeah. Not to mention the progression and upgrade paths of equipment is worse than the first Dragon's Dogma, where there you could do side quests and be rewarded, and the removal of the notice boards from Dark Arisen also sucks anus. None of this really matters if you didn't play Dragon's Dogma 1, but you gotta admit, being able to buy great armor that lasts a long time right off the rip isn't really the best way of tackling progression. The economy altogether in the game is pretty ridiculous, and I feel it needs to be slightly balanced better perhaps, and this may be a personal anecdotal thing with me, but this game has also crashed my PS5 on like 3 occasions, y'all. After the first crash, I cleaned out the fan and everything. I don't even really use rest mode and shit, but I still had 3 separate crashes which erased like an hour of gameplay thanks to the lack of a save scumming type feature. Like I said, that could just be me, but it hurt my soul. I honestly hate to complain about such a great game overall, but it almost feels like a reboot of the first. I mean, look at the main title screen for God's sake, that shit don't even have a 2 on it. Anyways, it had the potential of capitalizing on every great idea that was in Dark Arisen, but to me, I think it falls short in certain key areas, leaving me to wonder, like, what's really going on here? Up until now, I definitely give the game a solid, like, 8 rippers out of 10, and I'm definitely going to continue my playthrough to the end, and we'll have a blast for the most part. Let me know what y'all think down below though. This game is really fucking mixed all over the interwebs, and the discussions are very interesting. That's about it though, my cuties. Drop a dragon on the like button, maybe a dogma on the subscribe, and I love you guys. Bye!